Welcome back to Storytime with Sky Fellowship. I am going to give a very quick warning. If you have never played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom and want to know nothing spoiler-wise, leave now. I'm probably going to spoil absolutely everything. I don't do scripts with these. This is so many multiple re-records due to tech issues, which eventually I'll stop mentioning, but I'm still bitter about it, you see. As long as these are the ones that finally work, and so far I've done 4 in a row that have worked, so maybe I've finally fixed this damn thing for the umpteenth time of trying. Even the blah 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 blah, let's just cut all that. Let's just say this is now the start of the video. I've done the warning that I'm going to spoil things as much as there's no script. I know what I do want to touch on, and it's going to spoil a lot. So I'm going to start the video now. You have been warned. I need to actually just change my controls, so I've just realised, because I'm still set up for when I did the Mario Kart video. And I forgot to change the preset. So, now you've had your final warning. Right then. This game's an absolute masterpiece. It's the best game in the history of the universe. I love it. I love everything about it. I can't rave about it enough. But at the same time, this is part 2. Breath of the Wild's part 1. There is no doubt in my mind. They're one game. I know they're not one game. I understand there were years apart and so much time and work and effort went into this. But at the same time, they're clearly one game. With the exception of the mild annoyance that no one seems to know who Link is in this one, even though it's a direct sequel, which didn't make sense. But I'm going to start at the beginning of the actual game, and then I'm going to cut back to Breath of the Wild, and then I'm going to cut back to Tears of the Kingdom. So, we open the game with what is one of the greatest intros to a video game ever. I had so much hype going in, and I'm going to get the rant out the way first. I kind of resent Nintendo so much for... Sorry, I'm trying to remember how to get my horse, but I think I actually need to go to a stable, so I'll go do that. I have so much resentment and hatred for Nintendo for releasing this on the Switch. This is my favourite game of all time. And it's not my game of the year for 2023, because it ran like absolute shit. I suffered through this game, but at the same time, I enjoyed every minute of this game. But I would have killed for this to be my first experience with it, for this almost flawless version of the game to have been my first experience, because everyone deserves this to be their experience. It's just so good. Anyway, you start the game, you're walking down, and the atmosphere is building, and the music's playing, and you're getting loads of little hints, including the fact that Zelda has just pointed to a wall that you can't see, and if only you could see behind that wall. But it doesn't really matter that you can't see behind that wall, because... oh yeah, I've got 3 opponents in this file. It's weird. You can't see behind that wall, because it would spoil everything, except... I'm going to get to this. I'm trying not to jump the gun. So, you go forward, you get to Ganondorf, and finally we have Ganondorf. It's one of my biggest complaints about Breath of the Wild. I'll get to it. Finally we have Ganondorf, and he's revealed, and he's menacing, and he's badass, and Zelda gets sent back in time, and the Master Sword breaks, and it's everything. It's perfection. But this isn't technically the start. And this is what I was trying not to jump to, but it's now time. The start was when they showed the Nintendo Direct, of course, and they revealed this game to us, and we saw a dragon. I saw a dragon, at least. I was posting theories all over. That's not one of the 3 dragons, and I'd kind of figured out so much of this story without knowing it. When I actually put the game on, and I wish I could set up a file, but Nintendo are stingy with the way they do things, and even though I'm the primary on my own Switch now, because like that's the only way to be there, it says none of the other profiles have access to the Switch 2 version, just the Switch 2 version, so I couldn't set up a base file to set this part up. But the Ganondorf cutscene happens, and then you hit the Sky Island here, and you run forward, and you get to the Sky Island for the first time, and it does the panning, like it does with the Breath of the Wild, the moment I wish I could set up here, and you see the dragon again. And this time, being able to actually see the dragon, and not looking at a zoomed-in grainy picture, I was even more confident with my guess. I am such a nerd for the lore of Zelda. Even though this one doesn't really fit into any timeline or anything, I know who the gods and goddesses are. And they're all goddesses. There's Faroe, the green one. There's Din, the orange one. There's Niru, the blue one. And there's Hylia. And the dragons in Breath of the Wild, and then in this, are Farosh, Dinral, and Naedra. And I saw that blue dragon, and I'm like, so the dragons are the gods. I know this for a fact. I know what the fourth god is. The fourth god or goddess is Hylia. Hylia doesn't technically exist in these games. That's Zelda. Just no ifs, ands, or buts. That's Zelda. So I'm like, hi Zelda. I knew straight away just from that was Zelda. And yeah, it is. But it gets better. If you watch the Breath of the Wild video, because that one I've confirmed actually works. If you watch the Breath of the Wild video, you'll know that I played that game in the most batshit way. Well, I did this the same. As soon as I got the paraglider, I went out my way to play. I avoided the tears because they were a main story thing. I avoided those, the black and red pits, and then I was actually kind of spoiled with the depths because I didn't realise there was the depths until a video auto-played on YouTube and I saw someone running around and I'm like, shit, that's kind of a spoiler, I best go there now. But I'm losing my train of thought as well because of ADHD. Fun. So I knew that was Zelda. I wanted to play the game in my usual batshit way. That was where I was getting to, yeah. So I got the paraglider and I went off and started getting all of the shrines. I didn't know how many there were in this game. I didn't know how many I could get, but that was my goal. Once again, do all the shrines, do some side quests, but not really all the side quests. My literal last side quest is what made me rage quit the game. I'll get to that. So it's not a bad thing, by the way, as well. I seriously have so little bad to actually say about this game. So I was doing all the shrines, and then I found out about depths, and I jumped into the depths, and without the HDR of this version, the depths were a nightmare. Like, there's so little light. But I saw a light, and I went forward, clicked on it, turns out to be a light route. And it's like, I wonder how many of these there are then, because this is now something else I want to get. So I spent an exorbitant amount of time in the depths. I tried my best to never really use a guide when playing this game. I tried to just figure out 99% of it myself. There's very little things that I did have to look up, and usually it was a case of I was getting impatient with trying to find a piece of armor, and I'm like, I've already got the head, I've already got the pants, I'm just going to Google where the fucking chest plate is, you know. It was things like that. So I'm running around the depths, getting all of these, and then I started to notice a pattern because of the autism. Every single place that I was getting a light route, there was a shrine. So it turns out I was definitely doing the right thing by getting all of these, and that's all I did. I spent my entire time doing all of this, finding everything in the depths, finding all of the shrines, and you can do 151 of them, by the way, without progressing any of the story. So I did, and my final shrine was this one. And for anyone who knows what this shrine is and where I'm going to, you'll probably know what's about to come. My final shrine, I beat it, and I saw a door that I hadn't seen since the start of the game, where you have to use your health to get through it. And sure enough, I find a mask that turns out to be Mineru's mask, and because I'd finally beaten all the shrines, I'm like, okay, I'll let myself do this quest. I genuinely think I beat the dungeons in the right order, based on the fact that every dungeon I did, I enjoyed the one after more than the one before. But actual story-wise, I did the secret hidden spirit temple before any of the others. I got Mineru, and when I did the Mineru boss fight and cutscene and everything, she then yelled at me, because, again, that was my final shrine, which means I'd already went and liberated the Great Deku Tree, who told me about the sword, the Master Sword, and Mineru was yelling at me, how come you haven't gone and got the Master Sword yet when you know where it is? And that confused the fuck out of me, because I didn't know where it is. I mean, I did. Zelda has it. but Zelda's a dragon. So I fast travelled to I can't remember which tower. It's either that, it's one of these basically. And as I got there, as I got the tower, Zelda was, funnily enough, flying right past. And I'd, for the first time, actually equipped the Master Sword quest, because that was my goal. I had to get the Master Sword. And I saw her, and I flew past her, and I'm like, I know she's got the sword, but she's a dragon, and you can't land on dragons. Do you know how I know you can't land on dragons? Because I spent hours, and I'm not joking, I spent fucking hours trying to land on them in Breath of the Wild. I was adamant there had to be a way. I'm like, maybe it's just that I need to be wearing the rubber resistant armor to land on Farosh. Maybe it's just that I tried everything to land on those dragons. Those fucking bastards faked me out so much because I was so adamant I couldn't land on them. Of course you can land on them now. So I went straight back to the tower because I'd already overshot where Zelda was. And I'm like, if this works, I'm about to scream. Landed on Zelda. Paused the game. Did a mental checklist of how much I love the developers and how clearly every single wasted piece of time that I put into Breath of the Wild might be about to turn out to be non-wasted time. Yep, literally, I started to look at this game with a totally different mindset, and I started to do loads of things that I tried to do in Breath of the Wild but failed. And suddenly the game opened up a hell of a lot more. Breath of the Wild is genuinely the greatest tutorial in all of gaming. It's not its own game, it's a tutorial for how to play Tears of the Kingdom. It truly is. So I landed on Zelda, I got one of the greatest cutscenes ever, I got the Master Sword, and then I went to the Fire Temple, and then I went to the Water Temple, and then I went to the Wind Temple, and then I went to... what the fuck is the Gerudo Temple called? Lightning Temple. Yeah, then I went to the Lightning Temple, and I honestly think I did them in the best order, because every single dungeon I enjoyed more than the last. They are not the best dungeons in the history of Zelda, they're not, but they're a damn sight better than the Divine Beasts, and it's yet another thing on the tick box of Breath of the Wild was amazing, but... Breath of the Wild was amazing, but the final boss. Breath of the Wild was amazing, but the Divine Beasts. Breath of the Wild was amazing, but there's too many shrines that aren't really shrines. This does it even worse, like, out of the 152 shrines... So there's 120 in the first game, and I think 95 of them or something are real shrines, if memory serves, and 152 in this, and there's like maybe 110 are real shrines. It's one of the things that I have a gripe with, and I wish they would have took longer to release the game. Released it exclusively for the Switch 2, and I know this sounds greedy, it's already the best game in the history of the universe, but maybe just make 20 of those shrines to be actual shrine puzzles, spend the 2 years doing that, you know. Anyway, that's just me being ungrateful for something that is already a masterpiece. So I did all the dungeons in that order, and then I get to Pura. And I got some of the most unique dialogue ever, because on top of Minoru yelling at me for not getting the Master Sword, Pura yelled at me for not telling her about Minoru, despite... I've just realised I was trying to show Minoru when I'm gliding, so Tulin's literally the only sage that appears. But I'm like, she's literally right there. I walked up with her on. Then she yells at me for not telling her that I had the Master Sword. It's like, I'm wearing it. Why are you yelling at me, Pura? Like, it's not my fault. You're apparently not observant enough to see the sword that seals the darkness and the 6-foot-tall mech. Well, not even 6 foot. What the hell am I thinking? Link's probably like 5'11". 12, 13 foot tall mech? What the... It's not my fault, Minoru. It's not my fault. So, anyway, I got some of the truly most unique dialogue, and that's one of the things about this game. I could play it 5 times and play it totally different every time. I really wish they would do a Master Quest so I can have another excuse to play through it in a different way, because I did totally different things in my 3 Heart Challenge run that I did, where I only used certain armor and certain meals and certain weapons and stuff like that. I didn't get certain upgrades. I allowed myself to get 3 Wheels of Stamina straight away just so that I could have that, but there's so many different ways and self-imposing challenges you can do in this game, and that's where the fun comes in. It's your own game. No one will really do anything the same way as anyone else. I'm probably one of the only people who did the Spirit Temple as my first temple, and specifically the order of things that I did, and it's literally because I picked my final fucking shrine was that one. And why was it that one? Why I rage quit the game, The final side quest I did removes the storm from this area. This entire area is covered in storm, and my visually impaired ass, I couldn't see a thing. This was a nightmare for me to navigate, so to find out there was actually a side quest that would have made my life so much easier. But if I didn't think it was going to be a nightmare, I wouldn't have saved it for the last area to search for where is clearly my last shrine. So yeah, it's just one of those. It worked out well in the end. But anyway, I'm slowly coming to the end. So another complaint was the final boss just wasn't really the final boss. And it was really annoying that the picked it so that the champions helped you out in such a way that it made the boss just ridiculously easy and you didn't get to fight Ganondorf. So here comes the next part that they fixed. Doing the entire final area where the champions, well, the sages in this case, come with you and fight the refights of the bosses, and which you've already fought by this point a bunch of times anyway. Like, all of that was absolutely magnificent. I thought it was done so well. It was epic. I kept having to pause the game because I knew I was experiencing what was going to be my peak of gaming for a long time. I really do think it will be. And again, I did things in such a weird order. And I've just realised I've kind of skipped something, because after doing all those dungeons, I wanted to see... So I got a complete story, knowing that Zelda was Zelda anyway. But I got a complete story, and I was adamant by the time I'd seen those cutscenes that Zelda was Zelda. I hadn't done any of the tiers, because I'd completely forgotten about them at that point. So then I went and did all of the tiers before actually doing the Ganondorf thing. And got a second complete story, where, again, I was even more adamant that I'd guessed everything right, and more. So I don't understand how people can slate this game for its story and say it's really bad, because you can play it in the totally batshit way like I did, and I think I've got 3 genuinely really great stories out of this game, let alone 1, and people are slating it. So anyway, now that I've corrected myself by doing the things that I'd missed out of order, I'd got all of those story pieces, I'd went down to fight Ganondorf, and I'm up to Ganondorf. Before Breath of the Wild came out, I started to realise I should probably finally play Skyward Sword, because I hate the controls of it, so I didn't play it, but I thought I really should play this game, and it didn't pay off for Breath of the Wild, but oh fucking hell did it pay off for Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know why no one seems to bring this up. I seem to be the only person in any groups who keeps bringing this up. Phase 1 of the Ganondorf fight, you fight Ganondorf. Phase 2 of the Ganondorf fight, you fight Demise. Who is Demise, you may be asking? If you don't know anything about Zelda, that's fine. If you've played Skyward Sword, you know who Demise is. If you've skipped Skyward Sword, you probably should play Skyward Sword. The new control version is slightly better, but it's still, I wish they would have just given us a regular control scheme, because I genuinely think I would have liked that almost as much as it would have been up there with Majora's Mask and not quite Ocarina of Time, but like, I genuinely think that's one of the best Zelda games. It's just the controls fucking ruin it. Demise is the original incarnation of Ganondorf. Demise is the one who started the curse that links all 3 of them together. Ganondorf, Link, and Zelda. The whole point of the curse is, the moment Ganondorf succeeds, the curse ends, Link and Zelda never get reborn. However, if Ganondorf dies, every single time he gets reborn, Link and Zelda get reborn, because it balances the curse out. It makes it fair so that he has a chance to lose. So every single time Link wins, that happens. Which is why this story, and I've always wanted a story where Link lost, essentially, the story starting with Link having lost in Breath of the Wild and building up to this and still kind of being lost, it's everything I ever could have wanted. This game feels like it was handmade for me. It's every last thing I have ever wanted between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom I have ever truly wanted from a Zelda game. I got so lost in these games for so long and loved absolutely everything about them. Spent hundreds upon hundreds of hours, and will probably spend hundreds more in these games now that they're on the Switch too. I've already beat them all again once, and again I want a Master Quest. But the fact that I was now fighting Demise, and suddenly it appeared off that I'd actually done all of that work of playing Skyward Sword, I was freaking the fuck out. And then obviously we get the fact that the health bar goes off the screen, and it did so much feel like an Elden Ring Dark Souls style boss, but it also kind of did. It's really, really good. It's one of the best boss fights I've ever played. I hadn't used my Hylian shield the entire game. He broke my fucking Hylian shield. He broke almost every shield I had. I was running out of all of my gloom recipes. I had almost nothing left. I was getting to the point I didn't feel. It's one of those, I did actually beat it first time, which on a technicality means that maybe it wasn't hard enough, because sometimes I like to feel, but at the same time, I felt the severe stress of feeling, because it was fucking hard, and I was flying through things. I was genuinely worried about it on the 3-heart run, and then absolutely bodied him, because by that point, I was so much better at the game, especially because on this controller, I can have my run and my jump buttons be my back buttons, so I'm not having to hold it like a fucking claw. Anyway. So, then we beat Demise, and I did foreshadow earlier that I'd hinted to something else, because my actual theory, when Nintendo showed that Direct, and there was a dragon, I said that dragon might be Ganondorf. I said I wouldn't be surprised with the way that the game ended, and the fact that Calamity Ganon looked like a dragon whilst flying around, if Ganondorf turns into a dragon. So to open the game, and to immediately see Zelda, and go, oh no, yeah, you're Zelda. I still didn't get rid of that theory. I'm like, so there's a light dragon now. Kind of feels like there needs to be a dark dragon to balance this out. And then it happens, the cutscene, and he pulls the sacred stone out and smashes it, or eats it, to be fair. It's you eat them, not smash them, become a dragon. And he became a dragon, and I'm like, this game's gonna end with a fucking dragon fight. And again, it always had to, because I know the law. Zelda is the one who actually kinda defeats Ganondorf. It's not really Link, it is a tag team. That's the whole point of the curse affecting all three of them. It can never be just Link, it can never be just Zelda. And it's why when people complain in Echoes of Wisdom when Link came into it, no, that's the whole point of the curse. They have to work together. They absolutely have to work together. It takes the power of both of them. It takes the power of the Triforce of Courage, the Triforce of Wisdom, the Sword that seals the darkness, and the Sage of fucking Light / Time's fucking powers to be able to actually conceal him. That's the whole point. But she's a dragon, and he's a man. A Gerudo man, but a man nonetheless. So he had to turn into a dragon. It had to end with a dragon fight. The entirety of the final of the game, I kept having to pause, take a breather, and a reminder that what I was experiencing was something that was going to stay with me, and sure enough, it bloody did. The entire ending, the catching Zelda at the end, just everything, the whole thing, I was bawling. I couldn't stop crying. It was sheer joy, sheer glee. I don't think they will ever make another Zelda game like this, and I'm truly, truly wounded. I know you can't continue the story. The story's done. Part 1, Part 2, done. There doesn't need to be a Part 3 that's a Part 3, but I would kill for another game in this style. Make an Ocarina of Time remake in this engine. Make a third game like this, but take us to Termina, take us to a new area, take us to Lorule. Bring Null, I want to say the enemy from Echoes of Wisdom is. Like, give us Null or Agahim. Like, give us a different big bad in a different big area. Give us Majora. Like, I'm saying Termina, I'm not so much saying give us a Majora's Mask remake, but maybe give us Majora. Like, give us something, but give us this freedom as well, because that's what makes these games as absolutely brilliant for me. The fact that I truly do feel like I'm the only person who played this game my way. If nothing else, I'm probably the only person who played them in my order, because by the time you eventually add up, you are getting into statistical anomalies. There's 152 shrines, you can do 151 of them. I did them in a specific order. I did the light routes in a specific order. I did the dungeons in a specific order. Eventually, it's probably not even trillions, it's probably whatever the hell legitimate word after trillions is, whether it's zillions or gazillions or whatever you want to say, orders of magnitude of someone having played the game in the exact same order that I did. And even if they somehow did, they probably still did things differently, where it's like, well, maybe they didn't use that weapon or that item combination, or, you know, it's one of the games that I truly can feel like this is my fucking story in my Hyrule. And Hyrule is definitely where I would choose to live at the end of the day. Even if I was an NPC, I'd just go and live in Hateno Village until Link saves the day. But if I was Link especially, this version especially of Hyrule is where I would fucking choose to live if I could. This is just, like, I get technology here, I get fantasy here, I get the most chillest vibes. Yeah, there's monsters around the place, but honestly, even if I wasn't Link, I've beat these things that much. I'm not going to take on a fucking Lionel, but I'd take on some bokoblins, you know? I'm sure I'd be fine. So yeah, I think with that, I truly hope this is the one that goes up, because I've probably recorded it better in different ways, and there's probably maybe one little thing that I'll have end off forgetting to say or forgetting to do, but it is just the nature of my life. Nothing ever seems to go right. So hopefully this is the one you're seeing. And yeah, this game is a masterpiece. I don't know how you top it. I don't know how you better it. I understand there are a lot of people out there who want the old school style of Zelda to return, and I feel for you. I do, because I know what it's like to have waited 18.5 years to finally get a game that I thought was better than Ocarina of Time. And I understand if you're someone who actually loves The Wind Waker and loves Twilight Princess, because that's the thing. This is my all-time favourite franchise. It's Ocarina of Time is the reason I'm still alive. Zelda as a whole is probably the reason I'm still alive. So it means that when I don't enjoy a Zelda game, I'm not like an arsehole about it or rage about it or anything. I'm not one of these grifters online and like, oh, I hate this. I get really disappointed, because I've been taught to expect perfection. So when you don't get perfection, I don't settle for it, and I know that's a bad trait. I wish I couldn't do it. It is only with this franchise, it really is. But you go from Ocarina and Majora to Wind Waker, the game where it's infamous for cut content and a stupidly long and boring fishing quest. I beat the entirety of the Game Boy Advance version of A Link to the Past in just the sailing sections of Wind Waker, and I had more fun doing that than playing Wind Waker. I hated Twilight Princess's open world, essentially, because I see open world, it was a totally dead world. As much as people complain about this, there's at least stuff to do. I'm hating the fact that I've already ran past so many Korok seeds and that, you know, doing this. I would have loved to have sidetracked to actually do them, but as much as people complain, that's a dead, barren world. I can't stand Twilight Princess. I have already mentioned why I dislike Skyward Sword. I know what it's like to go year after year after year wanting something, so I understand if the last one you did enjoy was Twilight Princess, you're kind of coming up on the same time frame that I was from between Ocarina and Breath of the Wild. So I do hope you get your classic Zelda game at some point, but at the same time, I hope I get another one of these. I really do, because the story's never going to be topped. The story encompassing both these games is just perfection to me. Again, I have cried at both fucking games, cried deeply at both games, especially the Champions Ballad DLC. I cried when I replayed the games. They're just that special to me. I don't think you will ever get a better story, but that doesn't mean that you can't give me a new open world area to free roam in and to do all of the shrines in whatever order I want, and then the dungeons and all of these things. You can still give me all of that. That's still a 10 out of 10 experience, you know? Like, the story could be mediocre, and I'd still think this is the third best Zelda game, because you give me this gameplay, because the gameplay is what matters most. So, yeah. With that, I think I am finally done, so I'm going to see you until next time. This has been Sky Fellowship, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!